Welcome back to Building HVAC Science. Hope you're enjoying these podcast episodes. Sometimes people say, how do you come up with ideas for the podcast? Well, this one actually came up from a conversation in an aisle at the AHR Expo this year. A good friend of mine, Howard Weiss, stimulated this line of thinking. So Eric and I got a chance to be joined by Renee, Tomlinson, and Howard from the ESCO Institute and HVAC Excellence, also known as that, to talk about a theme that doesn't nearly get enough airtime. It's the quiet people in HVAC who shape careers and raise standards without chasing attention. Howard explains ESCO's role in the industry from accrediting HVAC educational programs and credentialing instructors to administering a huge number of certifications and developing curriculum, all aimed at improving HVAC education overall. Renee adds the bigger why behind the work, pointing to education as the lever that improves lives, strengthens communities, and leaves the trades better than we found it. The conversation turns into a celebration of unsung heroes, such as instructors, trainers, mentors, and program leaders who quietly change the trajectory of students, apprentices, and working techs. Howard and Renee share examples of people who build exceptional programs through sheer effort and care, and they frame recognition as something deeper than popularity. It's about honoring outcomes, the ripple effects of mentorship, and the real human impact that happens behind the scenes. They also highlight how the industry is getting younger, how newer instructors blend legacy fundamentals with modern tools, and how podcasts and social platforms can be powerful teaching aids at scale. We close the episode with a challenge to listeners. Become one of the unsung heroes. Thank the people who train you. Mentor someone coming up behind you. Join an advisory board. Give back because you get to, not because you have to. Renee also recognizes the behind-the-scenes team at ESCO, whose daily work keeps training, testing, and education moving forward. And I wrap up with a list of links, which are in the show notes here, so you can connect and learn more. Okay, on to the episode of the Unsung Heroes of HVAC Education, Mentors Who Built the Trade, with Howard Weiss and Renee Tomlinson. Hey folks, well, I've got your attention. I want to make sure you know about this great conference coming up. It'll be my 38th year attending this. This is the 2026 National Home Performance Conference and Trade Show. It's going to be happening April 13th through 16th, 2026 in Columbus, Ohio. And this is where the whole industry ecosystem shows up. Vendors, expert speakers, hands-on demos, and networking built right in. This is for contractors and home performance professionals who care about doing the right work, both technically and in their businesses. And if you're a new contractor attending for the first time, there's a special deal just for you. Register before April 9th, and you'll get the best rate, which is $825. And it'll be a savings of $270. But you have to use the code HVAC Science, which is in honor of our podcast. And you can learn more and grab your spot at http://nhpc26.org/building-HVAC-Sci. This is where real-world business education takes place. Margins, service models, they talk about it all. Sales, marketing, content, training system, recruitment, retention, conversion. This is the 40th anniversary of the conference itself, and it's got a strong focus on what's next for the industry. Please head on over to that website, nhpc26.org/building-HVAC-Sci, and use the code HVAC Science, which expires on April 9th. Thanks for taking the time to do this. You won't regret it. Okay, we started.
Oh no, he started on us. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Building HVAC Science podcast. Eric Kaiser right here. Bill Spohn over there hitting that record button quickly today. We got a couple special guests with us today from the ESCO Institute, Renee Tomlinson and Howard Weiss. Welcome to the show. I think this is the first time for both of you on the show, probably.
Yes.
Very cool. Welcome. And I don't know, Bill, you want to go through some introductions here?
I'd like them to introduce themselves, but first, Howard, it's like a family history for the ESCO group. Give us some background for people that haven't heard about your fine organization.
Appreciate it, Bill. First, I'd like to, my mic working there?
Yes.
I'd like to start by saying Bill, thanks for allowing us to join you today. I think I've known you since the 1990s, many different renditions of what you've done. Known you a long time, and I genuinely appreciate what you do and love your passion for the industry. Quick overview, who are we? ESCO Institute or HVAC Excellence. We develop standards, so we accredit HVAC educational programs to make certain they meet certain standards. We credential teachers to make certain that they mastered the competencies of their program. We administer about 100 industry certifications, develop a lot of curriculum. What are we about? We're about improving education in the HVAC industry overall.
With that, you also run a fantastic conference every year where the educators around the country get together, the countries, I should say, because some come from Canada too. And it brings you into contact with a lot of people. And Renee, you're the executive director, is that correct?
That is correct.
Why don't you give us some of your background and perspective too?
Sure. So Howard filled you in on what we do here at ESCO Institute by the details, but you can look at it in a way that Nelson Mandela said that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. So this is our opportunity to help shape the world, change the world just a little bit as part of our industry, the things that we can do to help grow this industry and change it and leave it just a little better than when we started in it a few years ago.
Yeah, come on. How long has it
I'm
been?
going to say that a few years ago.
Been a while.
I've been involved in the education side of the industry for more than 30 years. So it has been a fun ride, and we've seen many, many changes over the years on the education side, on the technology side. It just continues to flourish and grow.
And with all that experience that you both collectively bring today, we chat a little bit beforehand about people who are put into the limelight or become celebrities. And again, the comment from Howard was, that's fine, that's one route, but there's the quiet people that we need to celebrate. And you all had a number of names that you just riffed off the top of your heads beforehand about people that are quiet and need to be celebrated for the change they are making. Can you get into that?
I'd love to. And Bill, our conversation started at the HR Expo.
In the hallway.
You and I always see each other at different shows. We're always busy and don't have time to quietly talk. I was watching the HVAC Tactical Awards, and I thought, what a phenomenal thing recognizing some of the people in our industry. And while all of us try and do a great job to recognize the people making a difference, I started thinking there's also a lot of people who what I'll call the unsung heroes of the HVAC industry. I was speaking to a gentleman at our booth, came over and started telling me a phenomenal story of all he's done in the industry, all of his challenges. But what he told me, he said, what made a difference in his life was one person. And when he started telling me where he's from and everything, I started connecting the dots and I said, you know Randy Peete. He says, yes, he was my instructor in Reserve, Louisiana in 1981. And he was my mentor, and I owe everything to him. So Randy is one of those unsung heroes, and there's countless. How many educators are there at the schools, trainers at the supply houses, manufacturers, who they work long hours, long days. They do it not for the fame and fortune, but they do it to try and make a difference in other people's lives.
And I want to thank Renee for helping TrueTech engineer recognition. Is that what we call it? Want to talk about that?
Yes. That is part of what we're trying to do with this top 25 recognition. I don't want to use the word contest because it's not a contest. It's a recognition that we do each year. It takes place at the conference, but it's to help identify those individuals that are out there in the industry, in our field, that we don't hear about every day. They're not on social media, or if they are, it's under the radar and everybody doesn't really know about them, but they're making differences in people's lives every single day. I'm lucky enough that I get to read through some of the submissions that come through and the stories that individuals share about how these people have changed their lives. We've got trainers and educators that give out their phone numbers and say, if you're stuck out there in the field, call me. Even if it's 10 years later, call me. And they've been there. They've been the mentors. They've been that guiding light for individuals. They've helped them grow. They've helped them reach their potential, reach a good living wage where they can take care of their family. And that is something that stays with these people forever. And there's so many of them. We could name a handful. We could probably do 500 episodes and still not name them all. But
Well, we could think of a few big ones and Bill, that's where this conversation started.
Exactly.
And I need people to know that the program your son's running for recognizing the top instructors, it's not a popularity contest. It's an opportunity for everyone in the industry to recognize the people making a difference in their lives. And I hope people get that. So to me, I'll just share behind every thriving professional. I was always told we're all the benefactors or victims of the training we receive. And behind every successful person's a mentor or professional that helped them understand the technical, the physics, the theories, the life lessons. Think of it like a football coach. Okay. Football coaches don't teach you how to play football. They teach you how to be a successful person in life. And that's what a really successful HVAC educator does. A lot of the young men and women who are in these career tech programs, think about it. They got a mom who's working 2-3 jobs. Sometimes there's no dad. The most important person in their life sometimes is their instructor. Like I said, we could talk about countless people, but if I think about one particular to start, both of you know Tom Tebby, but maybe the people in your audience don't. Tom served in the U.S. military and the Navy during the Cuban Missile Crisis, so he's been around for a little while. He was a technician, contractor, teacher, curriculum writer, director of a school, regional director over 5 technical colleges, moved his way up. In each role that I knew him in, he tried to raise the standards, push everyone, workforce development, empower the next generation. After retiring from teaching, Tom didn't just call it quits. Tom, he got involved in a lot of the boards you've been on with ASHRAE, manufacturers, utilities. One such committee that I work with Tom on, the Western Heating Performance Alliance, WHPA. So it's my favorite group we've ever worked with because it's the place where we learn acronyms. TMA, too many acronyms in the HVAC industry. The CEC, the CPUC, the investor-owned utilities, IOUs, all work together with groups like ASHRAE, AHRI, HVAC Excellence. Tom was there not because he was getting a paycheck. It was because he was dedicating countless hours to try and help the people of California improve what they were doing. But I think one that will resonate with your listeners of this show, today we hear people talking about, oh, we can't install heat pumps in cold climates. They won't work. Tom and Randy, who I mentioned earlier, while retired, worked with Entergy, which was Louisiana Power and Light back then. People in the South said, we can't install heat pumps. They won't work. And if you want me to install them, these high-tech advanced systems, we're going to charge you more. They went around the state and they trained people, contractors, technicians, teachers. They didn't get any fame or fortune for that. They did something to try and get back to an industry that they love. One last thing on Tom. I had an opportunity to work with him directly when he worked for HVAC Excellence. He was a national programs director, and he worked countless hours with hundreds of schools that he knew would never qualify for accreditation because he simply wanted to. It wasn't about a sale. It was about he wanted to help each and every one of these schools be better, the teachers be better. He understood it wasn't about him. It was about the young men and women that these programs put out. And I've often felt that the educators, whether they teach at a school, supply house, the manufacturers, they're the unsung heroes. Most of the people don't realize who these people are, but our success is tied to all of them.
I wonder how many people listening to this have used your materials in their education. Care to guess?
We work with about 1,400 schools around the country. So the schools we work with, but the students who go there or the supply houses may or may not know who we are. It's an ironic thing that you work with so many people. We've issued over 2 million credentials, certifications. So people have a card in their wallet from us, but may or may not know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the quiet ones.
Yeah. So, Bill, if you want, I have another example. I asked Renee to join on this call. She's actually an unsung hero of HVAC. I want to share something with you. When COVID-19 was declared a pandemic, teachers were told on a Thursday, you're going to be teaching online on Monday. No plan. Didn't know what to do. Renee and a small group of people over a 6-week period put out 160 plus videos and all sorts of content, working 7 days a week. These are the unsung heroes, the people who try and do things behind the scenes to help people. And the main reason I asked her to join is because I recently read an article in one of the Chicago papers, and it talked about the tale of two HVAC programs. And it said that all the programs pretty much got the same funding, same lab space, same everything. Why was one program really defying all expectations of vocational education? And the answer is another unsung hero. Renee, would you like to talk about Mr. Vitel?
So Jose Vitel at Harper College here in Illinois runs an amazing, amazing program. He has spent countless hours going to different programs across the state, across the U.S., and compiling the best of from all of these programs and bringing that here. It's probably also a really awesome program because I'm part of the advisory board and have been for years. But besides that, and I'm just kidding, I am not that arrogant.
Not at all.
But he has done the work. He has reached out to contractors and asked them to participate in his advisory board, to come to the school, to see the program. What can we change? What can we make better? What do you need technicians to know when they come to work for you? And it's at these people and these types of programs that are going to make all the difference. It's not just about cranking out a student and getting them a certificate at the end of the day or a degree. It's about turning these students into actual technicians that can make a living and make a difference for the employers, make a difference for our communities.
And Bill, we could go on. We'll give you a few if you'd like. Wayne Blackwell was named one of the top most influential instructors as part of the True Tech Tools competition. I always say the most important asset of any program is the person chosen to lead it, not the building, not the equipment. If you walked into Pickens Tech, it was built in 1970. Richard Nixon was president. They were using mimeograph machines. Not much has changed in that school since. But if you talk to contractors in Denver, they all rely on Wayne Blackwell because he's an amazing instructor. And we know other people like it. Ishmael Fiker, who was at Redstone College for years. I walked in a program that I literally almost got my pants set on fire walking through the door. Someone was using a torch in the doorway, and I said, I'm never coming here again. New instructor came back a couple months later. The lab was empty. He was showing me his vision. His sweat and tears and his reputation built an insane program the industry could be very proud of. Renee, how about Tim Muckey? Do you remember him?
Tim Muckey out in California. He is no longer with us, sadly, but he had built an amazing program too. But it's same sweat and tears, traveling all over to find the best resources for his program and his students. But we could add to that too, if you think about the upcoming conference in just a few weeks here. We're going to have 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 attendees. Why are these people coming? We've had a focus of train the trainer for so many years. And while it's the National HVACR Education Conference, there is still that focus for the education side and the train the trainer aspect of it. But all these people attending are trying to better themselves, better their skills, take things back to their classrooms to improve their programs so that they can create better programs for their students and their communities.
I know some of the people you described are a little bit older, and nothing against that, but what about up and coming? What are the channels, or maybe in particular, anyone who is up and coming?
We're still learning about some of those people.
No, Bill, it's an interesting story. So the first National HVAC Education Conference 20 years ago, I look at the age of the instructors. I look at it last year. The instructors are getting younger, just like the industry is. I had a meeting with the Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics. The HVAC industry is a lot younger than I thought. The average age is 37.
Wow.
There are a lot of great people entering the industry, and there's a lot of great people making a difference. And we're seeing, if you remember our teachers and trainers competition, the few that we had, Leon Charnetsky, Jason Objutz, everyone who was winning them was under 40. Okay. Interesting thing. Why? Because they were willing to listen to the older instructors about the legacy technology and learn from them, but they also embraced the new. They weren't afraid of it. Today, we're using a lot of new tools in the classroom that we've never used before, such as listening to your podcast. Think about it. That's an easy, free tool for every instructor to make certain their students are listening to this. But I want to share one other name with you that most people probably know, Eugene Silberstein. He's the author of many of their textbooks. Why do I bring Eugene up? He said something fascinating one year. Eugene was taking a bunch of tests, and he didn't pass one of them. And he says, I've authored at the time 13 textbooks. I think he's authored over 20 today. And he said, I realize it's not about me. It's about the men and women that I'm training and preparing for a career. And I think that's where we're going is I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your background is. Each of us have an opportunity to become the next unsung hero. There's people who are quietly shaping our industry. They go out and they recruit people. They don't just train them. They serve on committees for ASHRAE, which you've probably done, NFPA, Department of Energy, EPA. We don't do it because it's fun. We do it because we want to give back to this industry. Similarly, Eric, you've presented, you've been a judge at the UA International Apprenticeship Contest. It's called Giving Back to the Industry You Love. And I guess I'd like to challenge everyone listening. Think about it the same thing. Give back, mentor someone, join a program advisory committee, go get involved somewhere and help some students succeed. Find out how you can help. The success or failure of this industry is dependent on all of us who have thrived because of it. So let's get back to the next generation.
I'm going to use one phrase that Brian Orr taught Eric and I. You don't have to, you get to do this.
Absolutely.
And I'd like Eric to riff off of that a little bit.
It's a big reason why I think Bill's got me sitting here today. And why I feel lucky to be sitting here today talking to everybody. The industry, there was a lot of people, for me even, and I'm probably the young person on this group here with my measly 22 years in the trade today or in the industries. But there was a lot of great people that gave to me just selflessly of their time, mentored me, showed me different things, taught me different things along the way. Now I feel lucky enough to give back. And I think to Howard's point about instructors getting younger, I've noticed that. I've seen people come out of the UA program up there and people that were winning that competition as an apprentice or even just in the competition as an apprentice, they've come back 1 to 2 years later as an instructor for their local.
Eric, if I may jump on that one, you remember a few years ago, someone named Karin who was there. Okay. I think this isn't just about the unsung heroes. It's about a topic that Renee and I have been talking about lately, developing a culture in our industry of mutual respect for all. 51% of the U.S. population is female. 1.7% of HVAC technicians are female. You want to grow an industry, you can't ignore half America. Eric, do you remember Karin? She won the International Apprenticeship Contest.
Yeah.
And I bring it up because you were asking for someone younger, an unsung hero. Karin she was an apprentice. She's now a training coordinator. She's in her early 30s. When you talk about the next generation taking over, it's people like her.
And 2 years prior to her was a gentleman named Nick. And I think he came in second place in the competition. But he's also an instructor and trainer at his local within a couple years after being in that competition because they apply themselves. And they're learning about the new technology. They're out there, as you said, they're focusing on these things. They're building their knowledge, and they're willing to immediately pass it on to the next generation coming up after them. They're hungry to learn. And one of the things that I found out when I first found a passion for teaching and training and sharing knowledge was that it's really easy to teach and pass that knowledge along when you're close to having just learned it. And it also cements it better in my mind.
But Eric, I'll share something with you. We're talking about young people. I just jotted down 2 names I want to make certain I bring up. Ray Coker is 94 years young. Harvey Kaplan's 86 years young. They're both at the conference every year. They're there still learning, but while they're there to share, they're still actively teaching, actively working. To me, these are walking encyclopedias of the HVAC industry that I love spending time around. So while we want to recruit and train the next generation, I also hope that your listeners, if they're out there, if you know someone who made a difference in your life, go back and talk to them again, because they're not going to be there forever to share these stories with you.
And that was sort of we were heading into the hallway conversation, is we need to get their voices captured on the podcast.
Yes.
We do, because someday we're all going to be talking about people like Joe Kakinda, Tom Tebby, people we all know. And it'd be nice to have a little bit of history for all of them.
And they have plenty of it, and they are so willing to share. It's just amazing. But I think our community as a whole is so willing to share. We've become so open, and social media has made it so easy for people to share as well. So being able to go out and create a video and say, oh, this is what happened on my job today. So if something like this happens to you, this is how you fix it. And it's become an amazing way for people to help each other and help each other in such a more meaningful and larger scale too, right? So we never stop learning and sharing.
Yeah. It always impressed me at your educators conference how early people would get up for sessions and how packed the rooms would be so early in the day.
They want to learn. That's the beautiful thing, is that I remember one year I was downstairs setting stuff up at 4 a.m. There's people like, where's the coffee? Let's get going. You see those same people still talking in the hallways at 11 o'clock at night, sad that the training's over. What am I supposed to do now? Go back to your room and rest.
That's all the East Coasters that are still on their local time zones.
Yes. I agree.
We're just going, yeah, this is normal time for us.
As we think about the idea of the quiet people who we need to celebrate, what do you feel have they given up anything to be engaged? Any of those stories that you know of?
Have they given up something to get where they're at?
Yeah, or just for the time that they spend giving of themselves.
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. One year we were at the conference and we realized that 4 of the instructors there were former students of Tom Tebby's. And Tom's comment was, look at how many lives I've impacted, whether I realize it or not. So I think the difference is, I'll say 2 things for you. There's people who teach for income and those people who teach for outcome. Those who really do the second are the leaders and the unsung heroes in our industry. And those people don't do it for the bill. They can make far more money in the industry than they do teaching. They do it because something lights up. They're just so excited when they see a young man or woman get it and click. And it's a passion. It's something that they're evangelical about what they're doing, is the word I'll use. Very passionate about it.
In and of itself is a fuel for them.
Yes.
It truly is. Some of our team members, Eugene, Jason, even Clifton, when they haven't been in a classroom or been out doing live training for a while, they jump at the opportunity to go out and get in front of that classroom because they miss it, because it does become that fuel to keep you going. Like, oh, people are getting it. The lights are on. I can see it. It does become a fuel for them, and it becomes a passion very easily.
So, Bill, I'm going to date myself real quick because we've been talking about a lot of teachers. I just thought of a trainer, one that you know very well. He used to work for you, Bob Dwyer.
Oh, yeah.
So 1 million years ago, when you worked at Bacharach, he was one of your technical team. I always joke that Bob was the Billy Graham of carbon monoxide. Most passionate person you'd ever meet. But if you spend 5 minutes with him, you'll learn from him. He's an unsung hero of the HVAC industry. And that's all I was really trying to say, is that I love the fact that we're trying to make a difference by pointing out some of the people making a difference. But how many people do we not know about? And maybe if everyone in the industry would just show a little bit of respect to those who took the time to educate them or go back and thank them, it would make a huge difference. Not always do we hear, thank you for making a difference. You usually hear more of the complaints of things that have been done. So if I could be corny for a second, it's not, in the words of John F. Kennedy, ask not what the HVAC industry could do for you. Ask what you could do for the HVAC industry. Think about it. Do something because you love it, regardless of whether someone notices or not. Take the time to mentor someone. If you're a contractor, take the time to help some of your younger people along. If you're a technician, you've got a new person on your team, help them succeed. I challenge everyone to become an unsung hero in our industry.
That's a great challenge. And that's maybe the way we can conclude the podcast, is with that kind of challenge to individuals out there. Do you have any closing thoughts besides the gauntlet you just laid there, Howard?
I could talk for hours. I just don't want to bore everyone.
Howard, be honest, I know you could talk for hours.
So, Bill, the thing is, I'm grateful for the opportunity for us to just spend a little time talking about this subject. One of the things I always say is, I mentioned it before, the person at the front of the classroom, whether it be at the supply house, the school, to me, those are some of the unsung heroes. They work hard. They would probably make more money in the field, but they do it because they want to make a difference in the industry. So next time you're in a class or at a conference, thank the person who's taking the time to help you.
Absolutely. And whenever you have that opportunity to share your gratitude with someone who has helped to lift you up, take the opportunity to do so. I do want to, as part of our conclusion, thank all of our unsung heroes here at ESCO. There's so many of them that that you see out at events or doing training, but we have a whole team behind the scenes that's working to get things done and to keep things going on a daily basis as well. So we have a few here, our whole entire team. So I just want to thank them all for their hard work as well.
Very good. I'll be putting some links in the show notes for both of your profiles on LinkedIn, as well as the website, the web store, something for the conference. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to follow up on for individuals out there.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Bill. Great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you for listening to this episode of the Building HVAC Science podcast. Maybe you got some of the quotes, I think some of the better quotes from the episode. There are people who teach for income and people who teach for outcome. If you want to grow an industry, you can't ignore half America. Become an unsung hero, mentor someone, and give back to the industry you love. If you want to reach out and get in touch with us, marketing at TruTechTools.com, TruTechTools.com is a good place to do it. The Building HVAC Science podcast is a production of TruTech Tools Limited. Full disclosure, I'm a co-owner of TruTech. The opinions expressed are those of my guests, myself, or my co-host, depending on who is speaking, of course. If you want any tools or test instruments mentioned in the podcast, you can find many of them at TruTechTools.com and use the offer code HVACBS for a nice lister discount. Hey, that's a wrap. Until next time, look forward to having you back to listen to more on the Building HVAC Science podcast. Take care.